From the FirstRegional.com studios, this is Natural State Live.
Well, good evening, Arkansas, and a very happy end to November around the Natural State. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend around the state, and tonight's our second ever edition of Natural State Live. Of course, this is a special edition as we are talking about the first winter weather event of the season. Again, tomorrow officially starts meteorological winter, and of course we are talking about a light event when it comes to freezing rain, sleet, and the possibility of a few snowflakes around the state. Of course, obviously starting here in the metro, we are already down to 37 outside, folks. And again, we have seen this temperature drop a lot over the last couple of hours. And again, two big things are going to be watching is we're going to have to watch our temperatures, and we're going to have to watch our dew point over the next few hours, because this is going to be key right here, because the temperature can fall as low as this dew point. So as we start getting moisture in overnight, we get to watch to see how low this goes and how high this goes, and that's going to determine a lot when it comes to winter weather around the state. Again, up in Siloam Springs, we're already below the freezing mark here as well on our Joint Forces camera here. Again, our dew point is 18 up here, so we have a good ways to drop. And this is the part of the state that we're going to be watching for, that possibility of dry air. We may not see nearly the amount of snowfall up there, with mainly very, very, very flurries to very light snow showers there. Of course, up in Bay, Arkansas, we're coming in at 36 already. Again, another area where those northeast winds are kicking in and bringing these temperatures down relatively fast around the state. We are seeing areas around the state where we're below freezing, some areas above, of course, coming in wind at 36 as well. As you can see, a lot of dry air in place around the state. But again, that being said, the air is going to moisten, but also those temperatures are going to fall, and wherever they meet in the middle is where we can expect to see the chance of some winter weather around the state. Cameron? Yep. All right. So, a lot of you have been asking about, what are we looking at in terms of timing around the state? Again, we do expect this first wave to push off from the southwest towards the northeast around the state. So once again, we're going to be dealing with scattered sleet showers, freezing rain showers, again, for much of southwest Arkansas here, starting around our 5 a.m. time frame. So once again, as you can see, Area 1 is starting around 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning. But then your most likely time frame, we have a wide range here, because what's going to happen is we're going to be dealing with waves of showers and even a few thunder showers as well possible around the state. And again, where our temperatures are at or below freezing, we will be dealing with that freezing rain and a little bit of sleet, with, of course, obviously snowfall up here in the northwest corner of the state and parts of northern Arkansas. However, our snow may not really be seen till we get to tomorrow evening, because it is going to take time for that warm Gulf air to moisten up parts of the Ozarks and the River Valley, etc. Now, of course, as we head to our number 2 timing area, starting around 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning, again, right around rush hour, especially if you're in places in the metro area, Conway, Russellville, Clinton, on down towards Sheridan, Hot Springs. This is the area that we're going to have to be watching for, especially when it comes to dealing with that. Rain, the onset of precip around the state. Yeah. Did you switch from that? Okay. All right.
Give me just a second.
No problem at all.
I was trying to get it on my side here, so
I'll go back
over to the time. That was on my end.
Oh, you're good. All right. So again, for our folks here, and again for the number 2 area, again for my folks in northwest Arkansas, this will be later in the day. For my folks in southeast Arkansas, rainfall for you as of right now. But again, places like Sheridan, Pine Bluff, the Stuttgart area, Searcy, Cabot, Little Rock, Conway, up towards Clinton and Mountain View area. This area we're going to be dealing with that influx of moisture coming up out of 30, and then again starting around the 8 o'clock time frame. And then, of course, obviously our largest time frame from about 9 o'clock in the morning through 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Most of this should start moving out about the midnight hour here. And then, of course, for our folks up here in Northeast Arkansas, you will start to see those effects as we head to this time tomorrow evening, where our preset will be starting, obviously around 11 o'clock. But again, the biggest time frame we got to watch out for is that 12 p.m. to midnight time frame. But again, the biggest issues up here will not really hit until we get closer to that 6 p.m. 7 o'clock time frame, once we get towards sunset around this part of the state. So again, light freezing rain, light sleet, and a little bit of light snow. We're not talking about a major winter weather event, but a few travel disruptions are possible, especially in areas that stay at or below 31 outside. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Yes, sir.
Hopefully you guys can hear me over here loud and clear, just making sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about our next set of graphics here, and that's going to be the travel. And the number one thing, especially with Arkansas, this is our very first winter weather event here in Arkansas that we've had so far this season. I'm getting concerned about a couple of things here. So for number one, this is coming off of Thanksgiving. You got folks that are going back to school, going back to work. Everything's going back to a normal pattern, right? Now you're throwing the potential of winter weather into Arkansas. And for people that just moved here, if you've never dealt with it here in Arkansas, this is probably one of the worst times to get a freezing rain event here in the natural state, because you're trying to get back to how you were before the holiday here. So I want to kind of talk to you guys about this. So my folks in Southern Arkansas, Magnolia, Camden, Monticello, Lake Village, Crossett, I don't think you guys are going to have too many issues down there because of the fact of a lot of rainfall. You may have some light freezing rain at the beginning, but I think you should quickly transition over to a cold rain. Now, keep in mind, if temperatures end up a lot colder tomorrow morning, then this map pretty much become toilet paper, and then you have to start all over, right? So my concern for my folks that are going to be traveling on Interstate 30, Interstate 40, anywhere near the metro, I'm going to say from Russellville, Conway, Little Rock, Cabot, those areas, it's going to be a nightmare. I'm just going to throw it out there. When you throw light freezing rain on top of elevated surfaces that are at or below freezing, it's going to become a sheet of ice. And the number one question we're going to get tomorrow is, it's raining outside. It doesn't look like freezing rain. It's going to be a situation where you have that rainfall and it's freezing on contact. So if you've got to travel tomorrow, you're going back to work, you're going back to school, everything's getting back to normalcy, please take your time on the roadways tomorrow. This is the first and only time we're going to tell you guys that, okay? I know a lot of people, when they were traveling, especially on the interstates, you don't have a lot of patience. Tomorrow is going to be a day that you're going to have to put your patience in the lunch bag, because if you're trying to travel on the interstates, you start getting winter weather, then it becomes an ice rink. And it does not take a lot of freezing rain to cause travel problems here. That's why we have pretty much this area designated from the Queen, Mena to Little Rock up towards Jonesboro, and that has this travel potential here. And you guys saw it earlier, even before we went live, with the winter weather outlook, the winter weather advisory that's in effect for much of central and northeastern Arkansas. So if you're planning on traveling more, I know I've got a lot of people, it's a Sunday evening trying to get ready for what's probably going to be a chaotic Monday, with trying to get back to how things were before the holiday. All we're asking is just take your time on the roadways. If you don't have to get out tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, once you get off of work, I would not recommend it, because the biggest thing is it's not going to be a massive, snow event or anything like that. This is going to be primarily freezing rain, sleet, maybe some snow in North Arkansas. Derek's going to talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to kind of talk about the travel, because the number one thing tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, during rush hour, you're going to be having freezing rain. You're going to try to have folks get off of work, get out of school. It's just going to become a nightmare tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. So make sure that you are packing your patience with you as we get into tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening, like Derek mentioned before with the timing. All these graphics, by the way, are going to be available after the live stream. So if you tuned in late or whatever, you'll be able to see the graphics afterwards here. But I wanted to kind of talk about the travel first, Derek, before we start talking about the precip outlook here. So I'm gonna send it back to you.
Okay. So obviously, like Cameron talked about, this is going to be our target area when it comes to obviously that travel hazard. Again, starting early morning in southwest Arkansas, transitioning here through around the early morning, right around rush hour, and then of course transitioning to northeast Arkansas as we head toward that evening rush hour as we head into the evening hours across state. Again, not expecting a major event, but again, we are expecting that event to kind of be a lot of scattered to numerous showers around the state, producing that freezing rain. So again, now a lot of you are wondering, what do we expect for tomorrow? Well, this is pretty much what we are looking at when it comes to our locations around the state. Again, keep this in mind, our folks in northwest Arkansas, you're going to be dealing with a lot of flurry activity simply because of the dry air in place. A lot of your moisture is going to be coming along the I-30 corridor, and places up here in northwest Arkansas, we'll be dealing with very low moisture content. However, Arctic air in place, we do see it squeeze out a little bit more moisture than what is anticipated, so we still have a chance to see a few flurries or light snow showers up here in the northwest corner. Of course, our folks in the Ozark Mountains up towards Harrison, Jasper, on towards Mountain Home, we do expect mainly a snow event here where our cold air will be all the way down to the surface and aloft with not much of a warm nose expected. Now, obviously, the big, beautiful pink area across much of the central, western, and into northeast Arkansas. This is where most of your winter weather advisories are right now around the state. And again, this is where we expect to see freezing rain at times, sleet at times, maybe some snowflakes mixed in as we head towards the end of the event. But again, that being said, the biggest thing is we are going to be dealing with a mixed bag of precip around the state. And again, anywhere in this area, we could see periods of freezing rain, periods of sleet, periods of snow. But again, given the further south you go, the stronger that warm nose is going to be, and the less chance you will of seeing sleet, and the greater chance you will see of seeing ice. As expected, of course, as we said, for down here in southwest Arkansas, southwest Arkansas into the southern third of the state here, mainly from areas around Pine Bluff, Sheridan, Arkadelphia, on towards Hope, D. Queen, Texarkana area. This is where we're going to be watching for that rain to freezing rain back and forth transition throughout the day, mainly early in the morning, mainly from about 4 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and then again tomorrow evening from about 5 p.m. on is when we're going to be watching for these areas here to transition to freezing rain, because your temperatures will barely go above freezing tomorrow. We're expecting highs in this area 34 to 36. So as those temperatures rise above freezing, you transition back to rain, roads become wet. Then as you go back below freezing overnight, we will be dealing with a lot of black ice, especially across parts of southwest Arkansas, where we're going to be just above freezing. Everywhere else around the state, we expect to be at or below freezing throughout much of the day, if not the entire day. This is where your roads will become more treacherous, especially if these temperatures are 2 to 3 degrees colder than what is currently forecast. And this happens time and time again with these Arctic air masses, as data tends to underestimate the depth of the cold air. We have northeast winds coming down. That means your cold air is coming around the mountains instead of through the mountains. So what that does is it's coming off a fresh snowpack up in the Ohio Valley. What that means is that that's going to bring that cold air through here. So this is something we're going to have to watch. Best case scenario is the sleet potential is underestimated, and we get more sleet in this area than we do freezing rain. There's also a possibility we could deal with a bit more freezing rain, and therefore that's when those ice accumulations could go up, especially across the central third of the state. Cameron?
Push this back over. There we go. So hopefully you guys can hear me. So I've got a lot of questions about, school and the road conditions, because obviously, Derek, when you You're getting back to like how things were normally before the holidays. So a lot of people have a lot of things planned for the early part of the week. We're going to get to those questions coming up here in just a little bit. I do want to talk a little bit about that freezing rain potential here, because while Derek was talking about that earlier, I'm kind of in the background looking at the questions, looking at the data and everything here. My folks down here in southern Arkansas, hopefully you guys will actually be able to see me draw. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see me draw or not. We're going to go with it. We're going to see if it works. If not, then we're going to go from there. But pretty much my folks down there in southern Arkansas, I'd say from DeQueen, Arkadelphia, Pine Bluff, down towards the Texarkana, Camden, that area down there, I can't fully rule out the potential of some rain, possibly some freezing rain on the onset that could cause some morning issues. I know for a fact down there in southwestern Arkansas in particular, from DeQueen, Arkadelphia, Hope down towards Texarkana, there is what's called a special weather statement. Pretty much it's just for the potential of light freezing rain first thing tomorrow morning. We do not control the school closures. We do not control what happens in terms of, school going to be let out, when is it going to be let out and everything like that. We don't control that. That is your school administrators, that's your superintendents and all that. Once they announce what they're going to do, then we will announce it on our end and you guys will know first thing. But we do not control who and what and where. All that's going to be, in terms of school closures. That is your school administrators and stuff like that. But if I'm a school administrator and I'm listening to this live stream right now, I would take a couple of things into an effect. Number one is the precipitation rate. So when we talk about that, that means that, you get light freezing rain, but let's say if it turns from light freezing rain to moderate freezing rain, well, you're going to start getting issues on elevated surfaces, bridges, overpasses, and stuff like that. So for those that are listening, this is probably one situation that if you could push school off to Tuesday, I would recommend it, because the biggest thing is you're running the risk of this coming in tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, and then you're risk putting buses and parents and stuff out on treacherous road conditions in terms of ice. And the number one thing here is, when it comes to freezing rain, it does not take that much freezing rain to cause issues. I want to stress that right now, because there's folks that are going to look at the accumulation map. They're going to like, oh, that's not a lot of rain. You got to realize that is all frozen. That's pretty much a sheet of ice on the roadways. Okay, freezing rain is one of the worst winter precipitation types you can get, because it does not take much to cause issues. Now, in terms of power outages and all that, I don't think that will be a big problem. My number one worry, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the travel, is folks are going to be out on the roadways tomorrow. Everybody's going to be in that go mentality, because it's the first Monday after the holiday and everybody's got to be somewhere, and you're going to have a lot of incidents on the roadways tomorrow. So if it were up to me, I probably would push school off till Tuesday. Again, I'm not a school administrator. Derek's not a school administrator. We don't control who and what with the schools and all that. It's just a personal recommendation, because you will save yourself a lot of travel issues if we can try to push school off till Tuesday. Again, this is not a winter storm. It's just the problem is you're coming off of a holiday and folks are just in that go mentality. And this is one precipitation type that you can't speed in, because you get a situation where you get freezing rain on the roads. You're going 70 miles per hour trying to get somewhere in a hurry. You hit one of those ice patches, and then you guys know what happens after that, and it starts to become a domino effect. I would love to try to avoid that, but like I said before, we're not school administrators. But if you are one, if you do have that power, I would kind of account for that is, hey, it's the first Monday after Thanksgiving. Let's try to see if we can push this off till Tuesday. And even Tuesday, depending on the accumulation, Derek, I would probably recommend let some time, like a little earlier, like a little later start on Tuesday, depending on how the roads end up first thing Tuesday morning. Because once this precipitation ends, Derek, you are going to fall back below freezing. So whatever's on the roadways, on the elevated surfaces, etc., it's going to refreeze Monday night into Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, yeah, it's if you get above freezing, right? So Tuesday morning is going to be kind of chaotic as well. So if I'm a school administrator, and like I said, I'm seeing a lot of questions about that, if I'm one, I would just kind of recommend just pushing it till Tuesday and starting it at a later time on Tuesday. It's just I just don't recommend traveling when it comes to freezing rain, especially on your interstates and stuff like that, because people just, let's just be real, people don't know how to slow down. So let's just go from there. So Derek, I'm gonna send it back over to you. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Let's go on, and let's look at our accumulation maps. Because this is a wide range. This is a wide range event. Again, we're not talking about a heavy event. However, one thing I want to mention about this is going to be the central third of the state, mainly from areas like Waldron down towards Mena, Mount Ida, Hot Springs, the Little Rock Metro, Conway, Searcy, Cabot, places like this. This is the area of greatest concern because your problem's going to be down here in South Arkansas, we're going to rise just above freezing. Up here in North Arkansas, we're going to be dealing with air cold enough to support snow or the air too dry. Well, typically when you get a deformation banding, and even if the low pressure is still weak or the system is weak, you can still get small areas of deformation banding. So just because you have a weak system does not mean you cannot get deformation banding, especially on areas of weak low pressures, troughs, etc. Now, that being said, this area here, if we stay at or below freezing all day long, these amounts will go up significantly. Guidance tends to overdo those temperatures a lot. Now, that being said, like I mentioned earlier, we have cold air funneling down off the fresh snowpack in the Ohio Valley as far south as St. Louis and Paducah. So that leaves a small room for error on these temperatures. Arctic air coming down, and we've seen our winds already turn out of the northeast. This area right through here in the Little Rock Metro, Hot Springs towards Conway, Little Rock, Cabot, Searcy area, would not be shocked to see us get close to a 1/4 inch of ice. I don't think we get quite there, especially if we have more sleet mix in. But the longer that warm nose stays, especially with all that moisture coming up I-30, we're not a lot of moisture, but we're going to be dealing with some across this part of the state.
Yeah, Derek. So, actually, I was actually thinking about that freezing, like what you just mentioned. I think if you were to push a 1/4 inch of ice, I would be very concerned about that southern extent, because the closer you get to that warm air vection, that's where you're going to have to watch for any kind of banding for that freezing rain. So I would probably put it, Derek, Hot Springs, that Stuttgart area. I mean, probably with our next update, we may actually have to include the Jonesboro, Blytheville, the Wynn area over towards West Memphis. Gonna have to keep an eye on that because if you start getting what's called thunderstorm activity, because when you deal with warm air vection, you deal with the instability aloft. I can't rule out somebody hearing a rumble of thunder tomorrow with this activity. So if you start getting that potential, then you will start pushing quarter inch of ice and stuff like that. And then obviously once you get past a 1/4 inch of ice, you're talking a whole completely different ball game here. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Like I mentioned before, I love this comment, by the way, from Heather. Freezing rain always causes issues, so please use caution. Only school administrators for their districts can make the decision about school closures. Here at Arkansas Weather Watchers, if you're an administrator, I would highly recommend, especially in the central Arkansas area, pushing school off till Tuesday. I would recommend it because, like I said, it's just you're getting folks back out after the holiday. Everybody's trying to go back to the exact same thing. It's just not going to end well. If this was a light snow event or a light sleet event, it would be doable. But when you start talking freezing rain just causes way too many travel issues. So I just would recommend it, especially in the central Arkansas area, that central 2/3. That'd be from Little Rock, Cabot, the Conway, Hot Springs, Mena area. It's just that's the number one problem with freezing rain. Light snow, light sleet, you can drive on if you're real careful. Freezing rain, I don't think it's going to be wise, especially with it being the first Monday after the Thanksgiving holiday here. So I'm going to turn it back over to you.
And it's always, Cameron, that first event of the winter where we have this issue, and it's the lightest amount of anything in the South that caused panic. I'm just throwing it out there. I've lived in the South my whole life. You have too, and we see it. It's always that first event, whether it be a dusting of snow, a glaze of ice, a sleet pellet on the ground, traffic gets nuts. So let's look at the sleet totals as well, because this is something that I want to bring up as well. You know, yes, we are going to be dealing with the freezing rain, especially in the central and southern part of the state. But that being said, you know, we're going to be dealing with sleet, at least a little bit of sleet mixing in. And again, most of us will see around a trace to maybe a tenth of an inch of sleet. But again, on the areas where your transition line is from freezing rain to sleet to snow, you will be dealing with a little bit higher totals. Again, we're not expecting that. This is a light event. I want to stress this. You know, your amount totals are under a quarter of an inch when it comes to actual moisture amounts in the atmosphere. So that being said, we will be dealing with that. That translates to what the winter weather advisory says, generally around a trace to a tenth of an inch of sleet totals. Now, that being said, we have highlighted much of obviously northern and central into the southern edges of the state. Again, when it comes to sleet totals, again, less south, more north, but overall travel may not be. This is where it's going to get interesting, because especially if we have deeper cold air come in than what is currently anticipated, these sleet totals will go up. Your ice totals go down, but your sleet totals come up. It's not going to come up by much, because we are dealing with what we are dealing with are two systems that are phasing as they go east of Arkansas. So what's going to happen is you're going to have one in the south that's going to move towards the northeast, and then you're going to have one to the northwest that's going to dive south, and they're going to phase as they come across central and into eastern Arkansas and points north and east. Hence why you're drier up here, your moisture here, and then obviously the entire eastern part of the state is going to be dealing with this as well. So again, a lot of things to watch tomorrow when it comes to our sleet totals. Now, everybody's asking about, I see the comments, everybody's wanting to know how much snow are we going to get. Oh, is it going to be a major winter storm? It's not going to be a winter storm, sorry. I just hate to be the bearer of bad news to you. You know, you're like me, you're a winter weather lover, winter weather enthusiast. You love to go sledding and love to get the kids out in it. This is not going to be one of those events. I just hate to throw all that out there. You know, if you live in North Arkansas, this is going to be an event where you may get a half an inch. Maybe we might squeak out an inch of snow. Maybe. Yes, sir, Cameron.
Yeah, so about that northeastern corner here, and actually, I saw Michael's comment about, how guidance is underdoing this. I'm gonna be real with you, Michael. We here at Arkansas Weather Watchers, we don't typically take guidance and just run with it, because it struggles so much, especially the first winter weather event. I'm fully anticipating temperatures being colder. I'm fully anticipating that this may be, some folks may get a little bit more freezing rain. Some folks may get a little less. There's a lot that computer model data is not going to tell you. And that's just how it is. That's that human element to forecasting winter weather here. But what I will say is, my folks from Batesville, Jonesboro, Blytheville, up towards Walnut Ridge here. And Derek, this may be a situation with the NETS update we have first thing in the morning. Guidance continues to indicate that what happens is when these two systems phase and they become one east of Arkansas, you get what's called wraparound moisture behind the system. And it continues to indicate that there could be a band of snow set up from that Batesville, Walnut Ridge, Jonesboro, Blytheville area. So don't be shocked if you wake up first thing tomorrow morning and that half an inch of snow may end up being further east than what we're looking at right now. We're continuing to kind of see the trend of that. I can see it happening because, like Derek mentioned before, with the systems phasing together, you get that back wraparound moisture. I can see somebody ending as a good amount of snow up there in northeast Arkansas, up there in the Ohio Valley and stuff like that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for right now, I think this pretty much stands until we get more data in tonight. We wake up first thing tomorrow morning, stuff like that. We can look and see what's going on real time, and we'll make adjustments from there. Just kind of wanted to throw that out for our folks up there in northeast Arkansas. But I'm not expecting this snow to move any further south than what it is right now. I think this is perfect for our folks up there in North Arkansas. This is, unfortunately, it's going to be an ice event for our folks in central down into southern and east central Arkansas. Back to you, Derek.
All right. So again, as you can see here, we're not worried about travel issues when it comes to the snowfall. And then, of course, obviously, again, Northwest Arkansas. I'm sorry, this is not going to be an event for you whatsoever. Our concern is that actually our folks in Fayetteville, aside from what's going on today, the Fayetteville area, Benton County, up towards Carroll County, Madison County, you may actually get an event where you may not see hardly anything at all. I do expect a trace, maybe a dusting, higher elevations, like your cars, your bridges, stuff like that. It will be white and not red, because nothing's burning down up there. But then as we move east, of course, across parts of the Ozarks, that's where we're going to be watching for a little bit higher totals, especially if we get any upslope moisture. Not expecting a lot again, as Cameron said. And then, of course, obviously for the rest of us, mainly sleet and freezing rain. Typically with these early season events, we do see more ice than we do snow because you're just transitioning from the fall into the winter. And tomorrow starts the first day of meteorological winter. So, of course, right on cue, we are talking about when it comes to winter weather. Cameron? Okay.
So pretty much, we've pretty much gone over all the graphics, Derek. So this is a really good time now that we're about 30 minutes into this live stream. First of all, we appreciate each and one of y'all tuning in, kind of hearing this out, see what's going on, everything like that. I want to kind of throw this out once again. We do not control what the school administrators vote to do tomorrow. We just want to give what we do here is we give people a recommendation. We see what's going on, we see the pattern, we see what we're dealing with overall. And I don't recommend it because just the thought of a 1/10 of an inch of ice on the roads, people that are trying to get somewhere at about 70 and 80 miles per hour, and it's the first Monday after being gone for about 4 days, because if you count that Wednesday, 5 days actually, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days, been gone for 5 days. Everybody's getting back to that, being back to that normal cycle. Just the thought of that is just terrifying, to be honest with you. So hopefully we can get out tomorrow without having any major travel issues and everything like that. But I just, if you got to get out tomorrow and they don't, close school down or anything like that, just please take it easy on the roadways. Wherever you got to go, it's going to be there when you get there. That's my number one advice. So I love this question from Wanda. I'm going to switch it over a bit to my side, Derek, because I can show model data. But I saw Wanda's comment about is the ground too warm for it to stick here. So I'm going to switch it over to mine. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I'm going to switch this over to some data real quick. So the biggest question I had, and Wanda, that's funny because when Derek brought up this winter weather potential, that was my first question. I was like, man, it's early December. Is the ground temperature going to be a little warm? Fortunately for North Arkansas, for the snow event, it's not terribly warm. South Arkansas, it's a completely different story. As a matter of fact, Derek, the GFS, it continues to indicate now it's actually trying to bring snow to central Arkansas now from that wraparound moisture on the back end. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I'm going to go over your soil temperature real quick. So we're going to go to, let's kick this party off about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, okay? So your ground temperatures are in the mid to upper 30s, low 40s. Now, keep in mind, like I said before, we're not expecting this to be a massive snowstorm. We're not expecting somebody to get a foot of snow or anything like that. We're not expecting all that. How freezing rain works, and I love this comment because any ice amount can cause a lot of issues, okay? You give me a 1/10 of an inch of ice. That's a very, very, very thin coating of ice on the roadways, on elevated surfaces. It's going to cause issues. It's going to cause travel issues. That's why freezing rain is one of the worst winter precipitation types you can get. If this was a light snow event or even a light sleet event, we wouldn't be so concerned about travel, but freezing rain is just a nightmare to drive on. No matter how skilled you think you are, it's a nightmare to travel on because when you're driving, you're not thinking about yourself. You got to think about everybody else around you. That's how driving works. So you got to think about that. You got to think about the fact that people are coming back from the holidays. On top of all that, I didn't even think about this, Derek. You got folks that are coming back from out of state coming back into Arkansas to get back to where they would normally be. So your travel tomorrow is going to be heightened because of all that. So now you're trying to add a light winter weather event on top of all that. So your travel is going to be pretty bad tomorrow, especially if you keep school open and everything like that. But to get back to the original question about is it going to be the ground's going to be too warm? Actually not. This is actually pretty cold, and you can get some accumulation out of this with temperatures, your soil temperatures being in the 30s, in the low 40s here. So I'm gonna send it back over to you, Derek. So,
Yep.
I saw Amber's comment here, so I was wondering why all my weather apps does not show any precipitation.
Yep.
We'll talk about that.
All right, so one, if you don't have the Arkansas Weather Watchers app, you're in the wrong. Just saying. But again, as we've mentioned, on our apps, on our website, we've been talking about this event for several days now. The biggest thing is a lot of your generic apps, they are not human made. They go by computer models. They go by computer data, and it's typically going to be your global models. So again, those global models, they run 4 times a day. If it's the GFS, it runs 4 times a day. If it's the Euro, it's running 3 to 4 times a day. So again, you may check it at, say, 6 a.m. It may say freezing rain. Well, then you check it at 10 a.m. All of a sudden, it says I'm getting snow. Well, then all of a sudden, I check it at 3 p.m. It says sunny and 90. Again, time and time again, we get this question a lot when it comes to winter weather, not so much when it comes to severe weather. The biggest thing is I wish people would pay as close of attention to severe weather as they do winter weather, because this is a common thing we get, especially in the South. Winter weather is heightened alert, severe weather not so much, and I wish we could flip those around or have just as much attention to it, because again, your apps show this time and time again where they change every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hours. Again, we are working hard with, especially with our developers, to make sure that our apps stay up to date. We constantly update our apps, constantly update our website, our streaming network. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So once again, as we're talking about this, the biggest thing is that your apps are going to always show something a little bit different. So again, if you pay attention to the forecast, to the website, to the streaming network, all that, you will see constant updates when it comes to these type of events. Yeah.
You guys should be able to hear me now. I stopped those comments before it came in. I'm going to talk about timing for just a little bit here, and hopefully I can get it to where you guys can actually see if I can draw on the screen or not here. So we're getting a lot of questions about it. I'm going to kind of diagnose it here just a little bit here. I'm not sure why my pen decided to not to work today. So give me just a bit, guys. Let me work some magic over here. But I have the timing map up, because those that are coming in that are asking about it is going to be, for our folks down in Southwest Arkansas, we're going to start it first thing tomorrow morning. This is going to move from southwest to northeast pretty much. My number one concern is, and I love this comment from Heather, school closures are only made by the school district administrations, not law enforcement, not meteorologists, or anyone else. So it's them. The administration is the ones that are in control on if schools are going to be open tomorrow or not. Love that comment from Heather about the school closures for tomorrow here, guys. So please keep that in mind. I promise you, if we could control it, I'm gonna be dead honest with you guys. And if you follow the page long enough, I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't hide behind any bushes or beat around the bush or anything like that. If it was up to us, I would probably tell you not to do it, because it's just, like I said earlier, the thought of putting all that heightened traffic on top of freezing rain, it sounds like a nightmare on paper. It does. So if it was up to me, I wouldn't do it. But obviously, like I said before, we don't control that. So this is a situation that stuff's going to get started in Southwest Arkansas first thing tomorrow morning around the daytime, the morning time hours around sunrise. And then it's going to move to the northeast within time here. So I think around the central Arkansas area, I'm seeing comments about Conway, Little Rock, etc. I think probably around 8, 9 o'clock first thing tomorrow morning is when it's going to get started. I have PTSD from when I was in school, from when they sent us to school, because things were nice and dry and everything in the morning, precipitation starts, it's a lot heavier than expected, and then you pull the trigger about letting school out, and then now you've got a situation where you've got buses, you've got, parents, you've got all this traffic going on in the middle of moderate precipitation ongoing here. So if we can find a way, like I said, for school administrators, if you're listening to this, if we can find a way to avoid that tomorrow morning, that would be amazing. If not, I get it, but just if you gotta be out tomorrow, you gotta travel, you gotta go back to work, stuff like that, just please be careful, guys. Take it easy on the roadways. I know it's not gonna prevent every single accident, but if you could just slow down on the roadways, take your time, I promise you, wherever you gotta go, allow extra time when you're traveling tomorrow. We're not expecting this to be a massive winter storm, but at the same time, I'm dreading tomorrow. I'm dreading it because you have all this heightened traffic. You've got the freezing rain and all that. I don't think it's a good idea for school, but I understand too. You want to try to save those snow days and stuff like that for bigger events. It's just, if it was me, I would push it to Tuesday. And even Tuesday, I would be like, hey, a little later start, let the roads kind of get back in a better condition, and we go from there. So we'll keep an eye on that here, guys. But and I love Heather's comment too. Some folks can't stay at home. I mean, you gotta get back to work and everything, especially coming off of a holiday. The only thing I would say is just use caution, like you said, use caution, use a good judgment when you're traveling. Biggest thing I would recommend is if you got to be somewhere at 8 o'clock with winter weather, I would probably try to leave the house about 6:25, 6:30. Allow that extra hour, even an hour and a half, just to get to where you're going, because it's going to allow you to travel slowly. You're not going to be in any kind of rush. And it's going to save a lot of issues on the roadways tomorrow here, guys. So I'm going to try to get my pen to work. Derek, if I'm going to send it back over to you, if you want to answer a question on your end.
All right. Okay. So one thing is about, a lot of questions are coming about, will the roads be clear? Emily actually asked, will the roads be clear by the time people get off of work, or will they stay bad all day? Really, it's going to depend on where you are in the state. Again, if you're in Northeast Arkansas, the roads won't really be getting bad till we head towards the evening hours. For much of our folks along the I-30, 67 corridor through here, again, central into Northeast Arkansas, we're going to be dealing with it, especially, now here's going to be the thing, temperature is going to be key. Morning rush hours when we expect precip to start, especially from central into southwest Arkansas. Again, that being said, we're going to have to be dealing with that small possibility that we could be dealing with a very small possibility that we're going to be dealing with temperatures being 1 to 2 degrees colder than what are currently forecast. Again, if you get up in the morning and your temperature is 31 to 32, the main issue will be your bridges, your overpasses. But again, if your temperature is 28, 29, 30, especially from central into northeast Arkansas, and precip starts sooner, then we're going to be dealing with a more large-scale event where roads will be a bit more treacherous. So again, Emily, to answer your question, it's really going to depend on where you live and the location in the state, because northwest Arkansas won't be as bad as central won't be as bad as southwest, etc. So southwest Arkansas, southern tier of the state, will see the least amount of effects. North Arkansas, the very northwest corner and north central, will see the least amount of effects. Again, from basically the Ouachita Mountains and parts of southwest Arkansas into central and northeast Arkansas, this is going to be the area that we're going to be dealing with. And again, as I've said, basically anytime from 5 a.m. in southwest Arkansas to roughly midnight in northeast Arkansas is where we're going to be dealing with a light but noticeable event around the state.
So this is a time right now, guys. If y'all have any questions, we'll take them. I saw that one comment. I love Heather's comment to, share this feed with your school administrators and your teachers. Like I said before, it's just a personal recommendation on our end. I just don't recommend it. like I said, the thought of, and I know I saw that one comment, they were like in the 70s, people had to walk in 2 feet of snow and everything. Like I get it, but you know, back then the mentality wasn't go, 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 go. You had folks that were, you know, patient. They were able to get to where they were going and everything. Now you're in a situation where everybody's got to be somewhere at a certain deadline, if that makes sense. And you're gonna do everything you can to get there on time. And this is just, I don't know. It's just a thought of light freezing rain plus heightened traffic plus people trying to get from school to work. It does not add well. It's 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? And 4 don't end well. So we'll keep an eye on it first thing tomorrow morning. If we could find a way to, especially near the metro area, obviously they're gonna keep an eye on, and I know Little Rock School District's monitoring the weather too. They're gonna have, you know, first thing in the morning, they're gonna look at the radar like we are. The data right now suggests pretty much what our timing is right now, where we have that activity starting in Southwest Arkansas first thing tomorrow morning. If that happens, then this activity moves northeast. That should give folks, especially in the central 2/3 of the state, North Arkansas, I'm not too concerned about it, because of the fact that it's just probably going to be more of a light snow event up there, and light snow is a little easier, especially with the ground temperatures. It's a little bit easier to drive on versus straight freezing rain and sleet, if that makes sense here, guys. Okay, so, but yeah, I said, I understand, you know, folks got to get back to work. You got to get back to that normal grind. I get it. We're not telling every single person to stay home. It's just, if you got to travel tomorrow, make sure you pack some patience with you, if that makes sense. You know, allow that extra time. If you got to leave an hour or two early to get to where you're going, you got to do it. And if you're on the roadways, just take it easy. I promise you, and the biggest thing about freezing rain, if you're not in a rush, you allow extra traffic, not extra traffic, allow extra time, and things just kind of slow down, then you'll be able to get to where you're going pretty fine. You want to avoid those elevated surfaces and stuff like that. But if you're going 80, 90 miles per hour on ice roadways, you're going to end up in a ditch. It's just not going in well. So pack the patience, allow extra time tomorrow. I promise you're going to be good to go. If you take it easy on those roadways tomorrow, you should be good to go. It's just, like I said, it's just the thought of adding that extra. If this was a normal Monday, I wouldn't be too terribly concerned about it. It's just the first Monday after Thanksgiving. That's where you're going to have those issues across the state as we get into tomorrow here, guys. Okay. And as far as timing, by the way, I want to stress this as well. All these graphics that you're seeing on the live stream, if you follow our page, go to our page. It's 100% free. Go follow our page. Hit that follow button. You will be able to see these graphics on our Facebook page. You don't have to rely just on a live stream just to see these graphics. You're going to see it literally posted right after this live stream is over here. And Chelsea, we're already got with our team. We're planning on doing coverage tomorrow. We're going to be here like Mitchell Ford. This is not going to be a massive winter storm here in Arkansas. It's just the first winter weather event for the season. And it's also the first one coming off of, you know, the Thanksgiving holiday here. So we will be here. We'll have an update first thing. Probably we'll have an update sometime tomorrow morning. But the graphics and stuff like that is always going to be on our page here, guys. So you don't have to worry about that here. Okay. So, let me see here. If you guys have any more questions, this is the time now to ask. Derek, I know are you seeing it on your side up there? Yeah, you go ahead.
So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of glancing a little bit at our data, you know, compared to where we're at right now. Just kind of noticing our data coming in close to around what our temperatures are right now, actually about 2 to 3 degrees warmer. So that's going to be key as we head into the nighttime hours. Again, is going to see exactly what we are looking at. And, you know, one thing I did notice on it is that as our low begins to pull away, it phases a little bit quicker. And what that does is that gives Northeast Arkansas kind of a run for the money when it comes to snowfall. So that's something we're going to have to monitor as we go into the nighttime hours, just to kind of see where things are as we go into the nighttime hours. Again, you know, another big thing is that, you know, as you saw at the beginning of our broadcast, you know, you saw those cameras that were behind me on the screen. Well, you'll be able to watch those in real time on our website, arkansasweatherwatchers.org/cameras. You'll be able to watch those cameras all day tomorrow and see what the weather is. We have them in El Dorado, we have them in Stuttgart, Alexander, Wynne, Arkansas, Bay, Arkansas, Siloam Springs, Rocky Comfort, Missouri as well. So again, you'll be able to monitor those road conditions on our camera in real time. Of course, obviously, El Dorado to El Dorado and Crossit, all those areas. I'm not real worried about this part of the state down here, but again, our biggest concern is going to be our folks from Mena up to the metro, and then of course into northeast Arkansas. This is where our biggest travel issues will continue to be. Again, not extreme, but enough to cause a disruption, especially if our temperatures come in a degree or two warmer than what or colder than what is currently anticipated. Again, if they come in warmer, then we will deal with a whole different scenario, and everybody gets rain, everybody will be happy, 33, 35, no road issues, and this will be, a non-event. Again, we're not expecting a big event, but the 2 to 3 degrees makes all the difference in the world when we're talking about these type of events.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys should be able to hear me here. So I saw your comment, Mandy, about like Derek just mentioned about the most concerned areas that we have about not the winter weather, the road conditions, and stuff like that. Another thing too, by the way, is quick shout out to Ryan, and quick shout out to Cade. He does coverage up there in Southwest Missouri, Northwest Arkansas. We have a lot of new graphics. In our graphic system here, so we're gonna have road conditions and stuff like that posted probably on an hourly basis tomorrow, so that way you guys will be able to kind of keep an eye on how the road conditions are looking and stuff like that. It's also going to be on our Roku channel. Folks, I want to highly recommend, if you have a Roku device or a Fire TV device, all of our products are free. Go download our weather channel. I promise you, this is a situation where you want to wake up first thing tomorrow morning. You'll be able to see those graphics. You'll be able to see what's going on in real time here. So you'll be able to kind of watch that stuff if you have us on our Roku and our Fire TV here. Now, I saw this one comment up here from Andy. Are your graphics taking an effect of warmer model data and evaporational cooling? Cool part about us, Andy, is, there's a lot of experience on this team. It's not just myself and Derek. We have Jeff Baskin, we have Heidi, we have Elise, we have a lot of people that work behind the scenes that when we have these events, we come together and we say, hey, this is what's going on and what is it accounting for and all that. So yes, our graphics do account for those little small details that you're not going to see on the model data here. But at the same time, like Derek mentioned before, this is not going to be a massive winter storm. This is not going to be a situation where somebody gets a half of inch of ice or 5 inches of snow or something like that. There is room for error with every system. There's always going to be that room for error. This could either overperform. You don't want it overperforming because, like I said, the thought of freezing rain and travel and all that is just a nightmare. If it underperforms, then nothing happens. We get out of this with very little travel issues, and it's just a normal chaotic Monday. That's just how it is. But we have to look at what we're dealing with the overall pattern and everything, and go from there here. So I'm worried mainly, and like I said before, I'm not trying to make this Central Arkansas based or anything like that. I am concerned about this area right in here. That particular area, Conway, Cabot, Little Rock, Interstate 30, Hot Springs, especially if you were to go with the HR, and Derek, I was telling you this before the live stream, the HR has to starting in that area around 8 o'clock in the morning. So what's going to happen is you're going to look at radar first thing, 6 o'clock in the morning, nothing's going on, you're going to have school, right? Precipitation starts, school gets let out at 10 a.m., it's a nightmare. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on this, especially if your precipitation starts pretty heavy right out the gate. We won't know that until we get into tomorrow here. And also, I did see that other comment about, is this going to be starting? Do we have another event late week? We do. We have a graphic drawn up for that. I think we're going to let tomorrow kind of pass through first, and then we'll start talking about late week. Once again, it's just a situation where you have moisture coming in with colder air trying to retreat out, and it's just more ice. So that's something that we're gonna kind of keep an eye on here. But that just, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that travel potential here. So I'm gonna send it back over to you, Derek, and I know you got some comments you want to address up there as well.
Yep. So one thing I would want to, let's see, where was it? Where was it? I lost it. That's what I was trying to remember. So again, let's see. So again, I'm seeing people saying the website's down. If you go out, refresh it, come back, it'll be fine. So again, a lot of people are asking about the snow. Again, yes, there's going to be snow. It's going to be up here in the northern part of the state. It's going to be light. I want to mention this. There's a good chance as well that what happens is, because what you have are two different systems. You have one coming out of the Rocky Mountains. You have one coming along the Gulf Coast. Well, let's say the northern system actually doesn't phase until you get east of Arkansas. Well, guess what? All of northern Arkansas is missed entirely by this event, and we have nothing. But again, our southern system is going to be throwing Gulf moisture over cold air at the surface. If you lived in Arkansas any amount of time, you know this favors a freezing rain and sleet versus snow event, especially when you're dealing with those shallow layers of cold air. Again, keep this in mind. Literally the week before Thanksgiving, we were in the 70s. We were in the 70s. Some people were near 80. Then all of a sudden, you get to Thanksgiving, we're kind of falling down a little bit, and we're just now transitioning to that colder pattern. So it takes time to get that deep cold air this far south. So a lot of times when you're dealing with that, you're going to deal with road conditions, icy road conditions, instead of dealing with those snowy conditions. Snow is much easier to travel on. Sleet is as well. Ice, not so much. Sleet is really only good while it's going on, because once you get 12 hours into the event, everybody's driven on it, packed it down, and it is just as slick, if not slicker, than freezing rain. But again, that being said, we are dealing with that area here again. Like we said, this is our biggest concern, and wouldn't be shocked if we see a greater area, especially in the Hot Springs, Conway area. Again, we're not Central Arkansas only, we're statewide, but again, for some reason, this event is just screaming the metro vicinity points to Northeast Arkansas. Again, Northeast Arkansas later, Central Arkansas morning into the evening, Southwest Arkansas morning into the late afternoon hours. Again, if you're driving from Southwest Arkansas to Central, just be cautious. Again, the biggest issue is going to be your bridges and your overpasses. Your main roads will be fine early on. Your sun angle is still decently high. Again, not significantly high, but mainly between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. is when the roads will be their best. As you head into later in the afternoon, evening, as it gets dark around 4:30, 5 o'clock, those roads will freeze over relatively fast, especially in these areas that are going to be at or below freezing around the state. So let's just go down here through once again. So let's go down through here again. A lot of people are wondering about the about the snow, about the travel. The biggest thing is, Mandy has another good one. Could the freezing rain potential be worse than what's currently called for? Absolutely, because if your moisture comes in a little bit heavier, let's say, for example, right now the current forecast is for generally around a tenth to a quarter of an inch of moisture. Now, keep this in mind. When you're dealing with freezing rain, those are exact amounts. If you're dealing with snow or sleet, well, those amounts come way down. I'm not going to go into all the math. That's a story for another day. But then again, when we're talking about freezing rain, if you get a heavy burst of freezing rain, or you have a thunderstorm or two come in, well, then all of a sudden we deal with what's called convective precip, and quickly those amounts go from that tenth to a quarter to a half an inch, and we're talking about a whole different scenario than what we're expecting tomorrow. So it can always be worse. It's something that you don't really know until you get to the event and you see both of your storm systems lining up. Let's see. Let's go look for. And again, I do agree with this. One thing about the weather, especially in Arkansas, it does always change. Another thing is, again, my folks along the 82 corridor, Texarkana, on towards Magnolia, El Dorado, cross it. We're not worried about y'all tomorrow. Y'all are going to be fine. All rain, so I don't want y'all to worry about that. You may see some sleet at the onset because of your dry air loft. That will quickly transition into a cold rain for my folks there. Again, like we said, the highest confidence is I-30, 67167 points north and west is where your greatest potential is going to be for any sort of freezing rain, sleet, and or snow tomorrow. Trying to see if we have any more questions that, again, a lot of things are, biggest things to see. Again, I'm saying a lot of the schools are monitoring right now. They're going to wait until tomorrow to make a decision, which is accurate because here's the thing. As your moisture comes in, we could be dealing with nothing. I mean, your temperatures stay warm overnight, cloud cover comes in sooner, we ain't got to worry about it. But if your temperatures drop lower, then we're dealing with another scenario. So again, it's going to be one of those mornings where parents, I'm a parent too, I hate it, it's going to have to be getting up earlier in the morning and kind of monitoring for those changes. We will have that update as we get them in as well right here. So it's going to be one of those days where you're going to have to stay glued to your TV, to your phone. It's just going to be one of those days. Cameron?
So, mine. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So we're gonna wrap this up. If y'all have any more questions, just let us know here. We're gonna be back here first thing tomorrow morning. The biggest thing is just the number one thing I want to stress is just make sure you have patience tomorrow. We're not gonna prevent every single accident. We're not. It's just not. That's not how it's gonna be. But if we can lower that number, that'd be amazing. As far as school, the biggest thing I would tell the parents right now, it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening. What I would recommend is monitor the weather. Go download our Arkansas Weather Watchers app. It's going to tell you everything you need to know. We're going to have graphics posted as soon as this live stream's over. I already got the post kind of drawn out and everything like that. So we're gonna have that set coming up here in a little bit. But the biggest thing I would suggest is just make sure you take it easy on the roadways first thing tomorrow morning. School administrators, I know y'all are watching and waiting and see what happens with this. The faster you can strike, the better. We don't want a situation where you let school out at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then you're putting all that traffic on the interstates and stuff like that because you have to get kiddos home and all that here. So if we could prevent that, that'd be great. If we can't, then we'll work it out here. But if we can try to find a way to try to strike early, if we see stuff developing and it starts getting heavier, if you are a school administrator and you need that advice, please reach out to Arkansas Weather Watchers. We will make sure that you're taken care of. We will give you the best advice that we can give you, and we can try to cut down the traffic as much as we can tomorrow here. We're not expecting a winter storm, but the little bit amount of freezing rain we're going to get will definitely cause some issues here, guys. So as far as I'm not seeing any additional questions. I think that's pretty much it here, guys. So from myself, from Derek, and our rest of our team, Arkansas Weather Watchers, we want to thank you guys for watching this stream. Just a reminder, go download our Roku and Fire TV. It's going to have 24/7 information. If you have us on YouTube, we have YouTube up as well. Go download our weather app. We have a lot of resources outside of Facebook that you can get weather information. And another thing is, on top of that, is if, like I said before, if you're a school administrator, you need some advice for first thing tomorrow morning, please feel free to reach out to us. We can get you taken care of here. So that is all we got for you guys right now here. We'll continue to keep you guys updated right here in your source for all things Arkansas weather.